Well, hello, and welcome to Stop, Let's Team Up, My Legion Adventures 47. And this week we are covering two comics. It is going to be Superboy, the backup feature in Superboy 124, the Insect Queen of Smallville, and the Weddings That Wrecked the Legion in Adventure Comics 337. So let's get started. This is a little different because I'm using the mapping in the archives, and I'm on Archive 4. And that mapping has this Superboy in it because it introduces Insect's Queen because she's an honorary Legionnaire. And so we're going to cover this introductory story. So let me pull up the Legion database, fandom database on this little old computer of mine. This is from Superboy 124, Volume 1. Issue number 124. Its cover date is October 1965. Executive editor Mort Weisinger. Cover artist is Kurt Swan and George Klein. And it's Super Baby's first fight, and it's Super Baby in a boxing ring, which is the main story. But we're going to cover the Insect Queen of Smallville. This Insect Queen of Smallville is written by Otto Binder, penciler, inker George Papp. Woohoo! It's been a while since I've read a Legion with George Papp. I just read a Green Lantern with George Papp. Editor Mort Weisinger. The synopsis is as follows. While in the forest one day, Lana Lang hears the cries of an insectoid alien trapped under a tree. Upon freeing the alien, it shows its gratitude by giving her a ring that grants its wearer any number of powers based on the abilities of insects. After testing out her newfound powers, Lana decides to become a costume superhero and becomes the Insect Queen. She then begins traveling around Smallville and stopping criminals, upstaging Superboy each time. Later, once again coming up with another idea to find out if Clark Kent is really Superboy, Lana traps him in a cocoon and then reports of trouble come over the radio. Lana is shocked when the cocoon suddenly flies off. Clark changes into Superboy and stops the trouble. A pizza place called the Leaning Tower of Pizza was toppling, and returns to the cocoon before Lana can get to it. There, Superboy emerges as Clark Kent and the butterfly wings, which make it appear that he's flying, but his wings actually wither thanks to his X-ray vision. Once again convinced that Clark isn't Superboy, Lana gives up and hangs up her Insect Queen costume, planning someday to have more adventures. So this is the first time we see the Insect Queen, Lana Lang. She will appear again in a Legion and become an honorary Legionnaire, and we'll get to that. But I like this one. It was neat. The different insects she turned into was pretty cool. Let me get to the actual story. It was it was really nice to see some George Papp Superboy because I do like his art. And I'm really learning to appreciate the different styles he had, his Green Arrow and then his Superboy. But it's a good, solid art. It's nice and clean. The alien is very cartoony but cute. She has a lightning bug. Then grasshoppers. My wife is freaking terrified of grasshoppers. That would freak her out. She can write on the blackboard 100 times very quickly with a centipede number of arms. She has spiderweb. She turns herself into a caterpillar and then eats the fabric to become a moth. It is just a wacky little Silver Age fun story, and I'm glad it's in here. I'm glad it's in here because it does belong in here because of her future as an honorary member of the Legion, and she does play a big part in. You do see her in big events like Great Darkness Saga. I think she's in Crisis. They appear. She pops up again. So. Let's think about what's next, and that is Adventure Comics 337, cover date October 1965. Kurt Swan, penciler, George Klein, inker of the cover. It is Saturn Girl and Lightning Lad, Ultra Boy, and Phantom Girl walking under instead of swords, the Legionnaires hold up sticks with statuettes of themselves at the end, and it's called the Legion Dropouts, or the part 1 is called the Weddings That Wrecked the Legion. And part 2 is called The Legionnaires Dropouts. Story credits, editor, plotter Mort Weisinger, plotter, scripter Edmund Hamilton, penciler Jordan Forte, inker Sheldon Waldorf, letterer Vivian Berg, part 1 only, and then Milton Snapin. Legion roll call, Cosmic Boy, Saturn Girl, Triplicate Girl, Sun Boy, Mon-El, Lightning Lad, Phantom Girl, Colossal Boy, Chameleon Boy, Colossal Boy, Brainiac 5, Shrinking Violet, Superboy, Ultra Boy, Element Lad, and Light Lass. Night Girl and Chlorophyll Kid are back, so are Purdy. The villains are Size Lass, Blackout Boy, Magnetic Kid. They're the inheritance of Muram. And we have a new leader. Brainiac 5 is elected leader in the story. Here's the synopsis. Newly elected Legion leader, Brainiac 5 tells his comrades of a possible forthcoming invasion of Earth by unknown foes, but declares that their secret Plan R will stop it. He then berates Ultra Boy and Phantom Girl for letting their romance interfere with their superhero duties. When Saturn Girl rises to their defense, he accuses her and Lightning Lad of similar actions. Meanwhile, secret agents and the invaders secretly spy on the Legionnaires. Their leader, Arl, determines to capture one of them and learn what Plan R is. When the heroes split up in search of enemy agents, they grab Saturn Girl and vanish when the others come to aid her. Back at the clubhouse, she and Lightning Lad tell Brainiac 5 of their decision to marry and leave the Legion. Ultra Boy and Phantom Girl decide to do likewise. The two couples are wed in an elaborate ceremony, and the three alien spies decide to infiltrate the Legion as their replacements. Under the guise of Size Lad, Blackout Boy, and Magnetic Kid, the aliens join the Legion. They then lure the others away from the clubhouse, ransack it, find Plan R, and take it to their world, Murrah, to decipher. When the Legionnaires return, Brainiac 5 reveals that he and Saturn Girl had staged the elaborate ruse in order to expose the spies and follow them to their homeworld. Once on Murrah, Element Lad alters the pills the aliens take to give them superpowers, making them useless. Superboy and Mon-El destroy the computer that manufactures them. The married Legionnaires later rejoin triumphant heroes on Earth and wishfully wishing their weddings had been real. Another Legion story, imagine, with, all along that one of the members or two of the members knew what was really going on, and it was all a ruse. We're seeing it from the aliens' point of view, I think, is kind of what they keep doing. This one is silly. It's a really famous cover. If you're an old-time Legion fan like me, you know this cover. It is an incredibly famous cover. It's a beautiful Kurt Swan, George Klein cover. But this, again, is it's kind of, I think, a well-known story. I think, again, Forte Waldorf art is pretty good. I think this is better than the previous two issues. The aliens are kind of bland looking, and they all look alike in a lot of ways. And then when they are the other heroes, there's not a lot to them. It's like a different skin color, and they've got a single-colored unitard, each one of them. It's nice to see the new leader. We're on our third leader. This is the fourth term, and it's Brainiac 5. I will be doing a new monitor board reflecting on that. And it's just to see the romance, and, it's a cute little story. Element Lad gets something to do. I wish Starboy was in it. We got big things coming up. But it's a neat little comic. Let's see, what other things. There's some alien exhibits, the different rituals. And the silliness. It is really silly, but it's fun. I needed this comic today. It's been a rough couple days. Not terrible. But, just a lot going on, work and life. And that's comics are good out. And this one was a good one. But next week, on Wednesday, because of the new format, with every Wednesday will be Legion Day. We will be doing 3 issues because we're getting up to a bunch of 2-parters in a row. At least a handful. So next week we will cover Adventure Comics 338, The Menace of the Sinister Super Babies, which is a time trapper Glorith comic. The Sacrifice of Kid Psycho, another honorary, and that's from Superboy 125. And then right back into Adventure Comics 339, which is the Hunters of the Super Beasts. And after that will be Computo. And I've got that story in 2 weeks. It's a story I just love. It's a big, huge, important part of my Legion fandom. And I'll talk about it then, because it's one of the earliest Silver Age comics I know I read. And it blew my frickin' mind. It absolutely blew my mind when I read it the first time. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I think that's why Annual 1 of the later edition of the Levitt Skiffin with the introduction of Invisible Kid 2 is such an important comic, because it is a Computo story, and Computo is my absolute favorite Legion villain. Absolute favorite. Just barely beats out Mordru, but absolute. I love it. So I'm looking forward to that. Again, these are 2 really good comics. There's not a whole, nothing out of the world. I was joking with Jimbo on Saturday or Sunday, whenever I post it, is me and Jim's conversation about Legionnaires Legionnaire Book 2, the reboot the second big trade. We had a good time talking about it, and I said, I joked about the repetitive of some of the stories of the Silver Age, but we're about to get to where there's some, the Stalag in space, Computo, Surprise Mysterious, the introduction of Karate Kid, Projecta, Nemesis Kid, and Pharaoh Lad. We're getting into a sweet spot, and it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about those, and I'll probably gab more. So again, folks, hey, this weekend, Legionnaires with Jimbo. Next week, 3 issues of Legion. The weekend after that will be the new, the second JSA issue should be out by then, and I have not decided what I'm going to compare it to, but I'm thinking about it. I will decide after I read it is how I've been doing it, and Kirby said he kind of liked the new format, and I'm going to kind of go with that as our standard format when I'm by myself and I'm not talking with a guest. Billy D is going to come on. We're going to talk Legion of Monsters. Ron and me are going to get together and talk a couple other things. Kirby's going to come on and talk the first trade of the JSA from the 90s, the one written by Goyer and James Robinson, and not Jeff Johns. So a lot of fun stuff coming up. I do want to make a little announcement or a little request here. Dave from Earth 2 podcast posted or shared an Alex Ross post of that wonderful Starman poster he did with Jack in the center and the 6 other Starmen surrounding him. I own it. And I said I owned it and I should do a podcast on it. And he said yes, and I will do it, and I'll listen to it. And a couple other people chimed in. So I'm really thinking about it. I know I said I was going to run through the Defenders, and once a month I will probably jump in, or once every 2 months, continue my Defenders coverage. I just felt it was, there's other podcasts that have done it better justice. Marty Gray made a good comment when I put up my poll of what changes I should make about Defenders are well served by Titan of Defense. And he is incredibly accurate and a very smart man. And that, what I like about the Legion, where he said about my Legion, that it's important to me because the history I have with it. And I think I do like discussing it because there is a true, genuine love for the Legion that is greater than my love. I mean, I love the Defenders, and the 70s Defenders is some of my favorite stuff. But Legion's really important. It's on like a JSA level, Avengers level, Teen Titans level for me. Those are my big teams. So, I'm coming back to Defenders. But I'm really thinking about the Starman. So one person said, someone else jumped in and made a comment, well, are you going to do the Will Patton? And what I'm thinking, my buddy Ken, I've mentioned Ken on this before, he's one of my best friends, came over and gave me my Christmas gift, which was a lovely box set of all the episodes of Elvis Costello's interview show signatures, which I was a huge fan of when it was on, and he got it for like $2.50. So I'm a big Elvis Costello fan, so he knows that. But he mentioned, why not do it like I do my Doctor Who one, which is we do a first Doctor story, then we do a second Doctor story, and then we do a third Doctor story, then blah, 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 and on. So should I really, to be honest, I don't want to cover all of the Golden Age, then the JSA, and the JSA, and that, because I love it all, and I've almost finished. Finally, I'm still going through the second volume of Starman Golden Age Archives because I'm kind of savoring it. I'm doing like 2 at a time and I'm jumping around right now. I've jumped into Power Man and Iron Fist trades. I got an Avengers omnibus I'm reading, and I got other homework to read for other episodes. So I really want to focus on the James Robinson Jack Knight Starman. That is my favorite. But I love all Starmen equally. I think the legacy aspect that Robinson created and fleshed out, it's amazing. It's amazing. I think the only closest thing to it recently would be Hawkman by Vendetti, where he took existing stuff and just ran with it. And I think a lot of the things that Robinson did, and Harris and Robinson's later collaborators, just created a wonderful, and it just means so much to me. It made me want to read Stargirl, which is one of my favorite comics of the 90s, not comedy, comics of the 90s. So I'm going to cover all of them, all the Starman, Stargirls, Star Spangled Kid's going to play in it. So I just kind of want suggestions, and I'm going to put a poll up with some suggestions, all of them chronologically, mix them up. But I think the focus needs to be Jack. So I'm going to post something, and I want you all to kind of chime in. So I may take some of your suggestions or none of your suggestions, but I do like people's thoughts. So that'll be a separate post. So again, Saturday, Legionnaires. Next week, a 3-pack of fun from Legion. And if something crazy is in my box on Friday, maybe I'll do an extra episode about what I bought recently. But until then, folks, be smart, be safe. For the love of all, be kind, and read some gosh darn comic books.